Good morning. Welcome to Morning Call. It does look like a good Friday that's coming up. Finally something to cheer about. The gas price hike has happened. That should lift mood this morning. And on the margin, you've got some good global cues as well that will also support the market. So after a really terrible June series, which by the way was put to bed in better fashion yesterday, we have some hope at the start of the July series as we kick off trade this morning. Mitali, hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Very good news. This is a big one, the gas price hike.
Yeah, delighted to see that. These days there's not a whole lot to cheer about in the economic environment, so we should make the most of good news when it comes. And it is good news. I mean, there is no other way to cut it. I've heard some naysayers since yesterday talking about how maybe power companies, etc., will not be able to pass down. Implementation will be difficult. But, you have to give credit where it's due. It's not an easy decision to take on the part of the government. And they could have done $6.6, but they've gone all the way up to 8.2, which is good. This morning you can cut it many ways. I mean, you could focus on the stock-specific impact like Reliance, ONGC, Oil India, which will be the obvious beneficiaries. But I think from the market point of view, that's missing the woods for the trees. This is the first move from the government after the diesel price hikes or staggered diesel price hikes, which does something to address the medium-term problem of getting some investments in. And India's problem is this and nothing else. Mostly this, that we don't have investments going into any important sector right now. So the switch will not be turned on tomorrow. We have to understand that this is going to play out in the medium term. But maybe 2015 onwards, some serious upstream investments will happen. So I think that's the one to focus on. Say, for example, the country's largest private sector company, Reliance, will it say in 2015, because of these price hikes, that I have the confidence of putting a few $1 billion of my money to work in the upstream sector to ramp up capacity because I'm getting better prices? That is the confidence that we need at this point in time. So I think this morning to focus on EPS impact, those are out in the future. That will not happen right now. The big kicker for Reliance comes possibly in 2017, not this year or next year. So the market may price some of it in, but that's not what this move is about. This move is about creating investor sentiment towards making serious investments, corporate investments, capex. And I think in the last few months we've just been hungry for these kind of moves. And if this is the start of some kind of confidence building measures to get investments back into the economy, and oil and gas is a big area which can suck in a lot of investment, then I think this is the start of something better in terms of the economic environment. I think that's the big takeaway rather than the stock-specific impacts which will play out this morning.
And I know we've been very critical about the lack of policy move within, but like you said, this is really, where the core of the problem is. The moment you touch something like oil and gas, there are so many other flow-throughs, including for the macro, that it's really great that they stepped up and bit the bullet, especially this close to an election.
Yeah, so I think that the government has been trying to do, it's done a few sensitive things. I mean, diesel was quite sensitive, I thought, and they pushed it through, and they have been having those monthly price hikes. I mean, there were a lot of skeptics at that point, like they are this morning, but we've been moving along with that. So, this is what the government needs to do more of, and I hope that this is the start of a few weeks of some positive activity which gets some investment mood getting back into the country, because the rest is very peripheral, all these FDI, this, that noise. I mean, this the time for all these sentiment building measures or doing this cosmetic things are gone. You have to do some real stuff. And people who are not making investments in the economy understand the difference between the real stuff and the cosmetic stuff.
This is the go button.
This is the go button. So you need to do more of what happened last night to get some animal spirits back into the economy. I can tell you a lot of CEOs who are not even engaged in the oil and gas business, barring power companies, they must be feeling quite good this morning that, wow, something good has happened. So maybe some serious because when these billions of dollars go into upstream, they have a positive feedback loop of their own.
Yeah.
It's like it will spread out into a lot of sectors as well. So it will take a couple of years. It will not galvanize everything tomorrow, but at least in the medium term there is something to be hopeful about.
Some consternation in the power community.
That is a tricky one, because the gas-based power plants will be sulking this morning. I mean, this is the thorny area what happened last night, because the moment gas becomes more expensive and power companies go to the SEBs and say my cost went up this much and therefore you've got to pay this much more, that is a tricky one for SEBs to gulp given their state of finances, and that's the thing which Vinayak Chatterjee was telling us yesterday, that along with this, the government has to lean on the state electricity board or create an enabling framework for them so that they don't back off now and say, but we are not going to buy power with this kind of a price of gas. So you've got to address both sides of it so that the whole thing plays through seamlessly. So this morning power companies will be unhappy, but I'll tell you what, in 2 or 3 years' time, some of these same companies should be feeling that at least our gas availability problem might be on our way to getting addressed, because right now, whatever price you pay, the problem is that there is no gas for power companies. But maybe in 2016, given the current price, there needs to be adjustments on the pricing front, but they will probably have gas because more gas will be produced. So I think for a power company CEO, while this morning looks like a tough one on the margin front, I think the medium term there are some positive takeaways.
And sometimes good news comes together as it has, so global cues are not too bad this morning either.
For the third day running actually,
Yeah.
so things are stabilizing. I think we've had a very, very rough patch for the market, Mithali, through June. And this is probably the slightly sunnier bit of it. Nothing goes in one way, so we've had a lot of rain the last 4 weeks. And we'll probably get a week of sunshine out here. Should not get carried away on either side. So we'll probably get a rally, maybe up another 100, 200 points on the Nifty. It will still be a pullback because while sentiment is better today, none of this will be terribly material in the near term. So I think the market will realize that, but a rally is deserved, and we'll probably get that on the back of both the global cues and of course what has happened locally.
As you said, we've put June behind us. It's good that we have some positive possibilities for the index this morning.
Yeah, I think earlier we were talking about the zone of 57, 57.50 as the first big resistance in this pullback, but I think the gap up this morning may easily clear that level. So we should probably be setting our sights for a slightly bigger pullback, partly because a lot of people are short in the market and they'll get caught out by the intensity of this gap up, because the overnight news is probably more surprising or better than what people expected. We could go up easily to 58 in that zone, to between 5,800 to 5,900 even. Remember, it's been a big fall from nearly 6,200 all the way down to 5580 kind of level.
More or less one way also.
Yeah, so we'll get a pullback, and just look at the recent history of this market. It's been in this kind of mode. May was a great month. Surprisingly, everybody said May would be bad and May turned out to be good. And just when people started celebrating came the June sell-off. And now everybody's bearish, but July probably will start on a better note. And then we run into earnings, which will probably be a reality check once again. So the market follows this trajectory. We could be heading on our way back to even 5,900 kind of levels. If the global strength persists, we've had 3 good days. If that carries on into next week, we could see some more rebuild. Also keep an eye on the rupee because of the moves overnight and the global stability. It's possible that the rupee, having been so oversold, also gives you a pullback, maybe to 59 kind of levels, and that may coincide with some more optimism in the market. So I don't know where the Nifty stops right now, but it appears now, given the recent news flow, that it will be a slightly more powerful rally or pullback than we thought. That doesn't take away the fact that we're still in a very weakish market environment, but just that in the near term you'll have to make trading adjustments.